Yes, it's for Narcision. Goes around the outside, it's in his teammate.
Qualified.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Barely Qualified, a Formula One podcast, the post-Singapore Grand Prix edition. We are your hosts. I'm Channing Apodaca. The man across the screen is, as always, Brandon Wood. Singapore Grand Prix come and gone. The race that everyone online is now calling Monaco East.
Ooh.
Had some moments, but I think that is a little harsh.
Yeah.
It, it wasn't as exciting as I think some people wanted it to be because Singapore typically comes with, a lot of, as I like to put it, the glitz and the glam because it's, the original night race of F1. It's got the hybrid track, the half street track, half traditional track. It's got the big Ferris wheel, the freeway overpass, all that shit. But it was, outside of the first lap, there wasn't much doing other than an extraordinary performance from one Lando Norris, which we'll talk a little bit more about.
Yeah, first time there hasn't been a safety car.
Yeah.
Or any sort of accident whatsoever, which would have definitely mixed things up a bit here. Just making things on the strategy side of the race a little difficult for the teams. But I don't know. I think even though up front there wasn't a whole lot of actual action going on, there was a lot that went on. We saw Mercedes kind of drop the ball a little bit with their strategy, and Oscar Piastri was able to make his way back up to the podium. So maybe a little bit of a missed opportunity there. Also, Ferrari kind of dropped the ball in qualifying, which really set them back for the whole weekend. So
they had a rough go all weekend long. Because going into this race, I was looking at it, and I've been calculating the points for Lando's championship bid, and I was looking at it, and I was like, going into this race, I think Charles Leclerc was 14 points behind Lando, and that was a sneaky little come up. It was 14 or something, not very many points off, but then he gets his time to lead it in Q3 and qualifies P9, and that was the end of it. And then Carlos, I don't even know what the fuck Carlos did.
Yeah, so Saturday after qualifying, the thought was that the team kind of missed the mark a little bit with the tire temperature for them. Either something wasn't set correctly with the tire warmers, or they just, they were just kind of just didn't quite get it right.
Yeah. Did you see Fred Vasseur? He denied that.
Yeah.
Because Charles Leclerc was the one who was originally saying that the tire warmers weren't quite working, so he wasn't able to get the tires in the window. And then Fred was like, no, it was Charles's fault.
Charles wasn't able, he had track limits. That's why his time got deleted. It wasn't that his time was that off, but it could have been the reason why Carlos had his incident, which started him from the back of the pack. But their strategy in the race ended up actually working out pretty well. Carlos was able to pull off an early stop and a long stint on the hards, and was able to jump a bunch of cars. A good move up, but still not an ideal weekend for Ferrari, considering McLaren able to get a double podium here. First and foremost, congrats Lando for being able to convert his pole position from qualifying into an actual race win. He led every single lap here, narrowly missing out on the Grand Slam, getting the fastest lap taken away from him at the very end of the race. I think he was definitely pushing for that throughout the whole race. We saw a few moments where just really close calls could have ended the entire race for him. And he kind of said after the race, some of that was just he didn't want to be caught out not pushing, being a little too relaxed, and because he thinks sometimes you get caught out doing that. But to me it was kind of obvious. Oh yeah, he's just going all out and trying to build the biggest gap possible.
He was balls to the wall the whole time. It looked like he was building the gap for the fastest lap pit stop there towards the end. Because there were moments in that race where he was, pit stop strategy aside, he was 40 seconds up on second place. He was in a a race of his
Yeah,
own. He was literally just battling himself
I think
and
the
the
biggest
elements.
gap that he had was about 29 seconds, so almost 30 seconds, which was more than enough for the pit. So I don't know. It was a little ballsy of him to be you know, pushing like that, but I get it. He's trying to make as much points as he can
Yeah,
in this opportunity.
it almost cost him in that one turn where he brushed the wall and he thought that he had front wing damage. But I thought I saw him get a little bit of heat online, which like is like the new thing. Is so much Lando Norris hate from all these F1 Twitter account trolls. But everybody touched that wall over the weekend. Literally, I can't think of a single driver who didn't touch that wall, and that just went to show how much Lando was pushing in that race. The hardest race of
Yeah,
the year for them. So who knows what's going on with him in the cockpit? And then you've got the conditions on track. It's hotter than hell. Everybody's touching that wall. So whatever.
yeah, it's tough. I mean, he did have Max Verstappen in second place behind him. It was quite a gap, but he I'm sure was feeling the pressure. So Max, I would say best case scenario this
Absolutely best
weekend.
case scenario
I
for Max.
he's
That is a hero drive in a way for Max, considering how the practices went. I don't remember. He started in P2, right? So he had a great
correct.
quali too. But you compare him to his teammate, and that's again just another brilliant drive for Max when he probably shouldn't quite be up there, but is still putting that car where he absolutely has to keep this season alive for him.
Yeah, I mean, historically not a great track for him. I mean, last
Never
year
won
was
there.
yeah. I mean, I heard the stat. He's only ever led 3 laps here in the entirety of his career. So
Yeah, and
last year was a big miss for them. This was like the one track that they didn't do well at last year, and Carlos got the win.
right. It's the
With
only
his
track that they didn't win at, and I
yeah.
think it's where Carlos won, and then the year prior to that, Checo won it. So this is a track where Checo actually does well, and Max was able to completely outshine him. So just goes to show you just how much on it Max was, and like forcibly he had to be. I want to talk about the first lap because we were kind of discussing that. You were saying that you went back and you watched Yuki's POV. There was a lot that happened in that first lap. Whether it was Yuki losing a bunch of places, a couple guys moving up, Lando Norris for the first time holding his position, not losing out on the first turn. It is a very short run up to turn one. You can chalk it up to that, but he also did get a really, really good launch for the first time in ever.
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna say it looked like Oscar also got a really good launch.
Oscar got a good launch, and then
and
I think it was Lewis who was directly behind Lando, who also got it was either, I don't know, maybe it was George. I don't know. I'd have to look at the quality results. But whoever was directly behind Max or behind Lando in P3 also got a really, really good launch. I would say better than Lando's, or better than
that was
Max's.
was Lewis. Yeah, it was Lewis. Started from third on the soft tires, and that was
Yeah,
kind of the whole point of him starting on the soft tires was to be able to make a move in the very beginning.
yeah.
Which didn't end up working out and ended up costing him and the team, I think, pretty severely in the long run.
Yeah, I think he just barely missed out on getting that move done because obviously it's didn't look like he was ever going to get the move done on Lando, but I think they were aiming to get it done on Max and then just hold position for as long as they could. And yeah, it just didn't happen.
Yeah, but I don't know. To me also it kind of feels like even that was a little like asking for a little too much.
A lot. It's because that run
what I mean?
It's so short. It's so short. It was a ballsy move and like a ballsy call, but what they tried. They're in a position to be able to give those things a shot. You know what I mean? I don't think as a team, they're like really competing for moving up in the Constructors' Championship. Like, it's looking like obviously McLaren is going to win the Constructors' Championship. Ferrari, I think, is going to come in second. Red Bull's going to finish third. I don't think Mercedes has a chance to jump up. So whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's plenty of reasons to run a split strategy like that, especially when you have your drivers starting right next to each other. Lewis was in third. George Russell was in fourth. You want to be able to create some type of a gap for them to be able to pit between when it comes time to pit and all that stuff. And you don't really, you don't. Sometimes you can be compromised by having your drivers too close together. So I can understand having a split strategy. But this just wasn't it. Like the only other driver I think that started on softs was Albon, maybe. And after the race, Lewis was pretty vocal about how upset he was about this split strategy. He said as soon as all the tire blankets came off when they were sitting on the grid, and he realized that everyone else had mediums and he was pretty much the only one on softs, he was just immediately like frustrated and pissed. So just starting off on a bad foot. So was not able to make a move on the first lap, and then it basically just ends up like from second lap on is just like starts falling away. He feels he gets called in too early for the pit, ends up having to do a really, really long run on those hard tires, and ends up falling back to fifth, I think was where he finally finished. So, and after the race, continuing to just this line of thinking that he just doesn't feel very confident or comfortable with the strategies that he's being given week after week, and it just sucks that he's in this situation where he just he just feels like he's being constantly undermined by the team.
I mean, that's been
and
going
that they're
on.
not listening to him,
It's been going on for 2 years. There was like maybe 2 races where you and I were like, oh, they're finally starting to listen to Lewis, and now look at where they're at. And that's when they were kind of on the up and up. And yeah, now it seems like they're going back to it. But it's like, I think this is just going to be the position that you're in, Lewis. You got 6 races left here, and they're looking to the future, and you should be too. You're moving to Ferrari, who's, looking pretty good. I was kind of questioning whether or not that was the right move, as Mercedes was like starting to look better and better. But it's races like this that make you go, all right, well, this is going to shake out for the best, probably.
Yeah, especially when you look at the way Ferrari played the strategy this weekend. Just really played it perfectly. Like, I mean, they are kind of set up in a situation where they are able to do really good long runs on the hard tires, and which is great for them. They should be making the most of that. I think this year has been a big, that's been a big way to make up a lot of ground is just to do a long run on the hard tires, and they really executed that great this weekend.
Yeah, it was nice. Going back to that first lap, and you mentioned Alex Albon and his start on the soft tires. How about his teammate, Franco Colapinto, in his 3rd Formula One start, and he gains 4 positions with a fucking Daniel Ricciardo-esque dive bomb up the inside, and his teammate didn't like it. That was one of the things that I noticed about that dive bomb. Not only was it like phenomenal, impressive, and it was one of those things where it's like, somebody find this kid a car next year. It was one of those moves that's going to secure him a job for at least 2 more years. Maybe not next year, because it's looking pretty slim. There's 1 seat open at Sauber, and but it's looking like he's going to find his way into a seat because of moves like that alone. But did you hear Alex Albon's radio like right afterwards?
Yeah, of course. He said, what is he doing?
What's Franco doing? He just did a dive bomb up the inside. And it's like,
yeah,
dude, he was a car length away from you. And Alex runs himself off the road and makes it look like Franco did it. But Alex had, and I love Alex Albon, I think he had more than enough room, more than enough time to not go into the runoff because of what Franco did. Franco took the line, and he held it. I don't know. It kind of rubbed me the wrong way. It gave me vibes of Alex Albon 2020 at Red Bull when things were falling off the rails for him. Like the desperation in his voice was just like, oh, fuck.
Yeah. And
I got another teammate who's running me off the track.
Yeah, no, I'm not even like 100% convinced that like that's exactly his thoughts in that moment. I feel like he was more just kind of caught off guard.
He was. I mean, from his POV, Franco does kind of come out of nowhere.
Yeah.
But had Alex gotten a better start, like he had space. I don't think it was like Franco just like directly bombarding himself into that turn.
No. He had a gap and he took it.
Yeah.
And he pulled it off. You know what I mean? If he had not pulled it off, if he had like ended up running off or actually like hitting somebody else, then we could all be questioning like what was he thinking. But I mean, he made it work, and then not only that, once he got into position, like he held it, like that whole first stint, he did amazing.
Yeah.
Checo was going on the radio saying, "Oh, this guy's doing so well.
Yeah,
Like I
this
can't
guy's
believe
good. He's so hard to pass.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, where have we ever heard that? Like one driver giving another one a compliment,
Lewis.
Well, I guess so,
when
but
Lewis gets in trouble, that's what he does.
yeah, but so I mean, he got himself up into ninth. He finished in 11th. He got undercut by Carlos Sainz and Checo Perez.
Yeah.
All that considered, he did amazing.
Fantastic.
Like he's by no fault of his own that he finished outside the points. He was in there at the very end. Afterwards, he was kind of apologetic to the team, saying, I'm sorry, I couldn't really make anything work at the end there. It was just too difficult. Wasn't feeling comfortable, but I mean, it was just overall impressive performance, and yeah, like you said, now everyone's kind of wondering, okay,
he's the new it guy.
Is he gonna take this Audi spot over Valtteri Bottas? This could be.
There's a possibility. I think it's kind of unlikely. It just doesn't seem like the right fit. But for some reason, something in me says, like, what is a good fit? Franco Colapinto to the Red Bull family. Almost, almost borderline ironic that Checo Perez is the one going, oh, this guy's so good. Because, I mean, long shot that he takes the Red Bull seat, but what if, they shoehorn a Liam Lawson or a Yuki Tsunoda into the Red Bull seat, and then that V-Carb seat opens up? That's a perfect place for him to slot in.
I mean, my objection to that is that Red Bull already has too many drivers.
Yeah, but they're also always on the hunt to steal some young talent.
Yeah, that's definitely possible. I don't know. To me, that seems more unlikely than him possibly going to Audi. I don't know.
The Audi one just doesn't feel right to me. It seems like they've got their own thing going on. They're looking more to the future, and they want German drivers and European guys in there. Red Bull, I think, could go after him because one of the reasons that they have Checo in that seat is because of the South American or North American sponsorship deals that he's got. They shift that to some Argentinian sponsors. Bam, you've got an all-star, a superstar in Franco Colapinto. You've got people coming from Argentina, driving up to Mexico City, flying there, however you want to get there, to see their guy in that seat. Quick replacement. Bam. I don't know. It just feels more right. It's more Red Bull style to get some young driver who's an absolute dog in that seat. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it looks more Red Bull style. It's more Red. Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say it's more Red Bull style to make a hasty decision.
Exactly. And it's a Helmut Marko move, And with everything that's going on with Checo Perez looking like he's out of the seat, and then suddenly, as of, the beginning of this Grand Prix weekend, Daniel Ricciardo is basically out. They have yet to confirm that he is not coming back for the remainder of the season. But all intents and purposes, even the media pen said their goodbyes to Daniel Ricciardo. It looks like it is over.
Yeah. We need to talk about this because to me, this is kind of ridiculous.
It's absolutely ridiculous.
At least, Red Bull should at least give the man dignity of saying, yeah, we're taking him out, and this is going to be his final goodbye. It's official. Everyone can say their piece, but instead it's like this unknown thing, but we're still saying our goodbyes anyway. Daniel was literally the last driver to leave in Singapore.
Yeah, because he hugged
stayed
everybody
in the paddock. Yeah, stayed back, giving everybody hugs. He had there's a special little segments on Sky Sports where they're playing little montages of some of his famous moments, and and then he had his little emotional segment with Lawrence Barretto there. I don't know if you saw it, where he's just kind of reflecting on.
Mm-hmm.
making the most of his last moments in the car. And it's kind of sad to see that, like, well, yeah, I mean, this guy's like hugely adored by tons of fans of the sport. He gets driver of the day, uh, goes out, potentially his last lap is he gets the fastest lap, which, that's kind of a cool way to go out. But it's still this like weird thing of like, we're not sure, you may see him again.
Yeah,
I
we
don't
might
know.
see him in Texas. Who knows? But for me, I don't know if you were like aware of this situation that was going on with him and this supposed clause that's in his contract. For me, this came out of left field. This like, oh, this might be Daniel Ricciardo's last race here in Singapore. And it's like, why? Why is this clause in the contract? Why with 6 races left? What's the number that he was supposed to hit? Was it points? Was it performance based relative to your teammate? Was it always the Singapore Grand Prix? You had to show X amount of this or X amount of that. And why? Why did you guys give him the seat only to put a clause in his contract that might take him out mid-season? You kept your young driver, Liam Lawson, out of the seat. You gave this guy hopes when we all said this is a shuffling of the deck chairs. Because the reason Daniel Ricciardo was there was as a failsafe if Sergio Perez didn't do well, that he might get that seat. It's like, dude, what are you guys doing? What is happening with your guys' seats? Let these fucking guys go. You have 2 young
shambles.
drivers, 3 if you count Yuki Tsunoda. Yuki Tsunoda, Liam Lawson, and then who do they have? The other young guy in F2.
Hadjar.
Isaac Hadjar in F2, waiting to get his shot. And you've sent Pierre Gasly, Alex Albon, Nick DeVries, all in a matter of 3-4 years packing. And now here you go. 2 more up on the docket. And it was just like, I'm not the biggest fan of Daniel Ricciardo, but I can respect, his legacy in F1, how much he's done for the sport, the love that the fans have for him, the love that the American fans have for him. And this is just a wrong way to go about it. It sucks. It's a shitty look, and it's just like, let him finish the fucking season. I don't understand it. It makes no sense to me. That being said, I am excited to see what Liam can do in the next 6 races.
Yeah, I've heard that it could be something to do with like Liam's contract, where at a certain date, his future needs to be secured for the next year. So in order to like secure Liam for whatever team they want to put him on for next year, they had to get him in the car now, as opposed to like, summer break maybe would have been a better situation. I don't know, would have been cleaner, would have been giving him more time in the car for the rest of the year. But like you said, maybe they were still trying to figure out the Checo situation, because for a while there was a lot of questions about what they were going to do with Checo. But then as soon as Max starts having the same issues that Checo's been having with
then you
the
can't
car,
point
then
the
they're
finger
like,
at
oh,
Checo
well,
as much.
actually,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, actually, maybe it was, maybe it wasn't Checo's fault all along. Maybe he was really onto something. So then they're backtracking, and
Yep.
it's just a mess. And
there's still rumors that after the Mexican Grand Prix that Checo might be out of seat. There was a video, and I think this is just F1 internet sleuths doing bullshit. But there's a video of Helmut Marko going up to Daniel Ricciardo on the grid before the race starts. When they're just about to do the formation lap, and he shakes his hand, and then he says something. He smiles, and he points back towards Checo's car. It's probably people looking into something that's not there, and he's probably just like pointing to something, and Checo's car happens to be there. You'd have to see the video to see what I'm talking about. But who knows? This guy, the moves that they make with their drivers and their cockpits are insane.
Yeah, I don't know. We shall find out soon enough. Another thing I want to kind of touch on here, this has come up before many times, but the fact that Daniel Ricciardo did take the fastest lap on his last lap of the race, took that away from Lando,
which was a much needed single point.
So that raises this question that's come up a lot of times. How fair is that Red Bull can use their sister team and a driver that's not even in the mix to go and steal the point away from their competitor?
It's not fair. It's completely not fair. And the more that this goes on, and the more, we start to, how do I want to put this? As time goes on, the entire AlphaTauri V-Carb situation is just getting muckier and muckier. Other teams have other ties. Mercedes' ties to Williams, Ferrari's ties to Haas and Sauber, yada, yada. But nothing where they can make a call like that. And we can't prove that they made that call. We can't prove it. But it's kind of obvious. And you could sit there and say, well, this is just Daniel Ricciardo doing his last hurrah. But it's in moments like this where you're like, dude, this whole second sister team is bullshit. They're supposed to be operating like two independent entities, and it's obvious at certain times that they don't.
Yeah, 100%. I know Zach Brown was probably on the horn about this after the race, as he's been probably the most vocal of all the team principals, team manager, whatever, CEOs on the grid, and for good reason. I can understand Formula One management, FIA's like stance on it, and just the whole reason why Red Bull has two teams. They came in at a point when people didn't want to invest in the sport. 15, 20 years ago, they put up a lot of money to help fund this team, and in order to help keep the same amount of cars on the grid, and was seen as a big help to the sport back then. And so for them to turn around and say, hey, actually you need to sell this team because it's not going to work for us anymore, can be seen as kind of disrespectful to the Red Bull organization and that. But at the same time, it's like, I don't know, how do you unwind the situation? You can say, okay, we'll not let this happen again, but therein you still have this one organization having two teams, and they will just be like that forever, essentially, right?
Yeah, I don't think it's going away. I don't think that team is going anywhere. So it just like, it's one of those things that I hate the phrase, but it is what it is.
Yeah, because even if they're like losing money on the team operationally, like over year, like they can still view it as a potential like tool for them to eke out points whenever they need it. So they don't really need to be that competitive. They don't have. They're kind of downstream from Red Bull, and with Red Bull's struggles with their development with their car this year, I can understand why maybe V-Carb's not as competitive as maybe some others in the midfield, but they should at least be like well ahead of like Haas, right? Like you would think that they should be like,
you would think so,
beating out Haas, right, on a weekend after weekend, but they can't seem to get it together. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. That whole situation's weird in moments like this. And then, we tend to forget about it. And then we go, oh, well, they operate as a separate entity. And then you forget when they do shit like this. But again, we don't know if this was an actual intentional move from, a Helmut Marko thing going on, or Christian going over to who is it, Laurent Mekies over there, and, giving him a wink and saying, do it now. Or if it's just Daniel Ricciardo wanting one last hurrah. It's just, the timing of it is very weird. The friendship between him and Max Verstappen is very, that comes into question because they're best buddies. He had some like comments saying that Max was the only one to give him, a little bit of a booster going into this whole scenario. So I don't know. But what it does do is that because of that one single extra point, is that awards Max the opportunity to come in second. He can finish second at every single race, every single sprint, fastest laps included, and still win the world championship. So what has to happen is Lando basically not only has to beat Max every single week from here on out, at every single juncture. He needs to nab all those fastest laps. And he needs to hope that at some point there's going to be a gap in the spacing between where he finishes and where Max finishes, not just a 1-2 every time. And it's doable. The championship is still possible, maybe not plausible, but he did put a 7-point dent in it this weekend.
And the one advantage that Lando has over Max is that he has Oscar Piastri,
Exactly.
who also owes him a favor or
Uh-huh.
two. So, if Oscar can get in between those two and help give a little buffer to Lando for the rest of the season, I think it's definitely up in. It's possible. It's
Yeah.
definitely possible. So,
Or maybe pull a
I'll be
Schumacher and,
watching very closely.
maybe he goes a little extra aggressive on some defense and, maybe into a certain corner. Turn 1 at Coda, maybe, there's a little bit of a touch. And those Mad
Yeah.
Max front nose wing on the McLaren with the spikes on it have their way with Max's tires or, his barge boards, and Max gets no points there. So I'm just, painting a scenario.
Real Chariots of Fire moment there.
Exactly. But no, I mean, it's a scenario. It's a very, very difficult task. And, I was thinking about this yesterday. When Max and Lewis went head to head, it was like, oh, Max has to do the impossible and beat Lewis. And they went at it all season long. Lando Norris has a big, big job ahead of him, too, if he wants to get this done. Not only does he have to beat Max every single weekend and on the season as a whole, he now has to beat everybody. Because when it was Max versus Lewis, that's all it was the entire season was Max versus Lewis. Checo was maybe in there for a race. Bottas the same, or who was it at that time? George? I don't even remember who was in the seat. But Lando has his own teammate to deal with. Max, Charles, Carlos, George, Lewis. He's got all these other guys who aren't just going to roll over and let him take pole positions and let him take podiums and victories and fastest laps. He's got a whole other world to deal with. So this is going to be a big, big hill to climb. If Lando Norris does it, all these fucking haters on Twitter who are calling him the worst championship rival in F1 history, suck it if he gets this shit done.
Yeah, I mean, the way I see it, I think his biggest opponent is going to be himself, honestly.
Yeah.
I think he has the car to be able to do it, but he has to not make any mistakes.
He's got to be perfect in the way that he
and
was for the majority of this weekend.
Consistency has been a problem for him. So
it's kind of been really one off, one on, one off. You know what I mean? Like he could have really closed the gap a few times in these past few races, and it just hasn't happened. And that's why I think people are, for lack of a better word, hating on him or doubting him, is because he kind of hasn't proven like definitively that he is the guy to do it. And it's really getting down to the wire, but the window's still open, and as long as there's a gap, a racing driver will find it. So, it's still there. Until it's gone, I'm going to keep my fingers crossed, just for the excitement, not just because I'm a Lando fan, but for the excitement of it. If Max wins his fourth and he ties Sebastian Vettel, and who else is in the 4 club? Fangio, Prost, all those guys. Fucking great. That's awesome. He held out on a season where he probably shouldn't have, but if Lando wins this is also an amazing feat.
Let's see how good this upgrade that Helmut Marko said is coming in Austin is going to be. Because that's going to determine a lot, I think, too.
It's going to be a big one. But I think Max also has an engine replacement that's gonna be coming here pretty soon. I've been saying it for a while, but I still believe that's on the horizon. He's at his limit, and he's gonna need one more.
Mm-hmm.
This is a track, going into the U.S. Grand Prix, this is a track that Lando did very, very well at last year. Max has always dominated here. I think the two of them did very well individually at Interlagos last year. So this is gonna be good. There's a lot of good track. This is actually my favorite part of the season. We have the U.S. Grand Prix, one of the best tracks on the calendar. The Mexico Grand Prix, which is just a great event, and it's local time for us. Interlagos, which is my favorite track. Then you've got, Vegas shortly after that. What else is in there? One more wrapped up in there. That's a good one. There's one more in the Middle East to close things out. Yeah, there's Qatar and then Abu Dhabi. Yeah, just these next 4 races are like my favorite.
All right, so we got some. You want to give us your props and your flops for Singapore Grand Prix?
Do you want to take the obvious one for your prop?
Yeah, I mean, I have Mr. Chatapinto written down for my props because it's third race in and just continuing to,
Chatapinto?
just continuing to make a name for himself, showing that maybe James Fowles actually knows what he's doing a little bit.
What
Maybe
is
he's got some.
James Valls definitely has his finger on the pulse, but what is the Chad thing? Is that like the hulking man, right? Like the Chad Lonzo?
Yeah, it's like it's an ultra alpha male.
Okay.
Chad.
I just had to clear that. Like the mewing face guy, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, he's definitely
Also,
got that swag about. He's got that aura to throw out some more Gen Z.
yeah, he's got the Riz.
Yeah, he's rizzed up right now, for real, no cap.
Any other props you feel like are due?
I mean, I think there's a lot of props. Franco Colapinto was going to be one of them. That was my first thought. But I think you have to also, we have to shout out Lando Norris for just an amazing drive. He put it in all weekend. He did what he had to do. And we need to see more of that. And then I'm going to do an honorable mention for Max Verstappen because, like we said, this is probably a track and a time of year with that setup that they've got going on right now where he shouldn't be holding on to his championship lead, but he continues to do so, whether at the fault of Lando Norris or at his own accord. He's still holding on to it, so you got to give props there. I don't like doing 2 props, so I'll do prop to Lando Norris, honorable mention to his championship rival, Max Verstappen.
Yeah, I'll give my honorable mention to Oscar because I mean, he kind of got gifted with Lewis's bad strategy a little bit, but he still passed what was it, 2 cars on during that second stint, one of them being George's Mercedes, so and manages to get from up to third, get his podium. So good on him.
Yeah. The flops are going to be a little harder.
Yeah.
You know what? I also do want, like, not a true honorable mention, but we do need to talk about Nico Hulkenberg's qualifying. He qualified, what was it, P5?
Yeah,
was it
5 or
P6?
6. 6, yeah.
My
He
God.
was right behind
Beautiful run right there. Absolutely beautiful. Fernando Alonso had a great qualifying too, out-qualifying his teammate by like the entire grid. These flops, man, they're gonna be tough. You got one?
Yeah, and it's hard. I want to give it. I don't know if I should give it to the team or if I should give it to Yuki himself because qualified in 8th or 9th. Let's see, what was it, 8th or 9th?
Let's see. I gotta look it up on my phone, which is dying.
He
Yuki
qualified
qualified in
8th,
8th.
and then just off the line. I don't know if he just dumped the clutch or what, but he just got a really bad jump off the line and got passed by 2 cars going uh into the first turn, one of which was Colapinto going around the inside, and then he got passed by Sergio Perez later on in that first lap. So just a really, really bad start. Could never really make up any time from there. Just overall really rough weekend for him. Daniel Ricciardo was really nowhere this whole weekend. I mean, he ended up finishing last pretty much outside of the 2 DNFs that we had. So I don't know. Like, I think they should be further up than they are. They should not be struggling at the back of the grid. I don't know. They should be in the points. He should have finished probably ahead of, or Yuki should have finished probably ahead of Hulkenberg, honestly. But couldn't make it happen.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of like a flop that is outside of the 2. What are they called? Kick Saubers. What's their other sponsor? What's their full name? I've disrespectfully not even memorized it this entire year.
Their official name is Kick Sauber Ferrari, but
okay. Don't they have one more title sponsor? Steak.
Stake. Well, technically, it's Kick because Stake is a gambling site,
Oh,
and
that's right. So they
gambling
can't.
site. They're not allowed to advertise in certain
That's right.
countries and stuff. So,
Whatever. The green car. I'm trying
but
not.
yeah,
I'm trying not to flop them, even though they so fucking deserve it. Zhou Guan Yu deserves to be flopped, like just like baseline. Like obviously, like we just like should reserve a flop for Zhou Guan Yu every week. You know,
I
one should go to
mean,
him.
they both finished ahead of Pierre Gasly and Daniel Ricciardo.
They,
So,
but they, yeah,
and they started behind them.
that was with an extra pit stop for Daniel Ricciardo though as well.
Yeah.
And Gasly, I don't know what the fuck happened in Gasly's race, but they both also qualified 19 and 20, and Gasly qualified 0.2 of a second up on Bottas. So like whatever was going on with him, you know, Alpine's got their own fucking problem. That team's a joke in their own right. But is it blasphemous if I give my flop to Daniel Ricciardo? Is it completely disrespectful and just besmirching his name? Like it feels dirty, but in my heart, like that's my thought is that Daniel Ricciardo deserves this flop. This is his last race in Formula One. This is like the race where he needs to show out if he has any fighting chance to save his career in this sport. And he qualifies P16. His teammate qualifies P8, and then in the race he finishes dead last. I mean, it's hard not, like, the sentimental side wants to go, no, he's driver of the day. He got 30 fucking whatever percent and yada yada. But, like, on paper, when you got to put pussy to the pavement, he didn't do it. He had a really bad showing, and he struggled in the car. He was pushing it very hard, I saw, but he was also all over the place. If you watch his onboard, he was, like, on a slip and slide.
Yeah, had he not got that fastest lap at the end, we'd be
it would have been a complete disaster.
Unquestionable, right?
Yeah,
it'd just be very, very like sad.
And it sucks. Like as I'm saying all these negative things about him, I'm like picturing the dude, and he's never been like my favorite driver, but everybody loves the Honey Badger in their own way. And now I'm like picturing him during those send-off interviews with tears in his eyes, and now I just feel like an asshole. But you know, advanced analytics say that he might have had the worst weekend of all.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's getting to a cliche point now where it's like, oh yeah, this former Formula One driver would probably do good in IndyCar, but I kind of feel that way a little bit. You know, I feel like kind of suits his style a little bit. You know, he
won't
known
race
for like really whipping the car around, and you know,
he says he
really
refuses to race on ovals though. It's the same reason why he doesn't want to go to NASCAR, which I think it would be more exciting if he went and drove in NASCAR than IndyCar. I think he can be more of a personality there, and I think he would make more waves. It would be a bigger deal for him to go over there, especially with the American fan base that he's already got following him, you know?
Yeah. I mean, Logan's got a test coming up in a car for Indy. So
yeah, you know what the grade of that test is probably going to be? F.
No comment, but
I hope
we'll see.
We wish him well.
Yeah, Daniel's gonna land on his feet. If we don't see him in Austin, you know, he'll be missed. But I don't know who's gonna wear the cowboy hat instead of Daniel
and the mutton chops.
I don't know.
God, who do you think will actually like? Maybe Max Verstappen will do like a little homage to his buddy.
He'll post something on Instagram.
No, like I'm talking about like at the race. Like maybe Max will throw on some mutton chops and a cowboy hat.
Oh yeah, he'll do a shoey.
I can't picture anybody who even has facial hair enough to do the chops.
I don't know. Lando's facial hair is pretty. It's pretty minuscule, but
yeah, Lando looks like a little villain. Same thing with Charles. Yeah, nobody else really rocks the facial hair.
Yeah, they look like little pirates.
Yeah, look to get little chola eyebrows on their lip. What else? What do we have?
I don't know. I know we have a break. We have like almost a month until
month-long break.
Austin. You're gonna go, right? You're gonna be there in Austin this year?
No, it's not looking like it. We're 29 days out, or 30. Yeah, it doesn't look like I'm gonna go. We were thinking about it, but
yeah. Well, if anybody out there wants to gift Channing and I tickets to go, that would be amazing.
I mean, maybe a
just hit us
last-minute
up.
thing. I know one-day tickets are on sale, and the Costco tickets are only like $350 for the weekend.
Yeah, but it's it's a commitment for a whole
Yeah, I don't know what
weekend
my
and all that
October is
stuff.
going to be looking like with shows and everything, so we'll see.
Yeah,
Anyway,
we're busy people. So
I'm very busy right now. I have to go right now, actually.
all right, well, good talk. We'll catch up soon, and in the meantime, I'll be playing some F1 Manager, trying to figure out how Lando's going to make these points up for the rest of the year.
Yeah, dude, write up some scenarios. That's what I check. I check the points every single day for whatever reason, as if there's going to be new points added, and I just like do the math in all these different scenarios and see when I think Max is going to fall off, when that engine change is going to come, and I try and like calculate how it's going to break down. But we'll see.
I mean,
And we're looking for a very, very, very fun run of races right after this break. We got 3 in a row, a triple header.
yeah, let's bring it.
Yep, it's going to be good. All right, guys, this has been the Barely Qualified post-Singapore Grand Prix edition. We will see you guys here stateside in Austin, the Circuit of the Americas. Peace.
Peace.